Welcome back, everyone, to, yes, another episode of the Three Man Weave College Basketball Show, presented by SportsbookReview.com. Jim, Ky, my two lovely cohorts. Lovely to see your smiling faces. Been seeing way too much of your ugly mugs the last few days, but we are back again today. It is Thirsty Thursday. The masses are thirsty for winners. And barring some late movement during the show, we might have some For You knock on every piece of wood around you. Before we get into some takeaways, let's hype up what makes this all possible. SPRodds.com. Make sure to have that page open on a second screen, a dual monitor if you have that access. It's key for this show, monitoring live movement throughout. We only endorse plays up to a certain price. That is how we operate here. SPRpicks.com/NCAAB. It's right above you. Boom, right there. Check it out. Lots of good content, expert picks and analysis, not just from us, from all the lovely folks at SPR.com. So be sure to indulge yourself in all of that goodness. Now we go to learnings. Ky, last night, I'll start with you. What did you learn?
Matt, my takeaway is 7 syllables long. Kentucky is 4-9. That's it. That's all I got to say.
I'm going to piggyback off that.
Amazing times.
I'm going to piggyback, Jim, before you go, because that's my takeaway. I'm just kind of done with UK and Duke. And everyone's watching, probably like, yeah, they've been bad. Wherever you wake up and smell the roses type thing. Right. But it felt like the last two nights set up perfectly for Duke and Kentucky to really play their best game. You know, they had Dante Allen starting for Kentucky, Ky Brooks getting healthier, playing a decent matchup at Georgia that kind of lets you go helter-skelter. Duke, similar type of thing with Jalen Johnson fully healthy. No, both teams just lost outright. Never really had a chance. Took the lead occasionally, but it just kind of just shows you that if you're waiting on Duke, Kentucky to be good, you're going to be waiting for a while. So I learned my lesson the hard way. I was stubborn and impatient, or probably too patient. Jim, what did you learn last night?
I learned that Houston was angry. Holy cow. They destroyed Tulsa, absolutely murdered them. They did the rare statistical feat of more offensive rebounds than Tulsa had total rebounds. Wow. Houston grabbed 58% of their misses, had 25 offensive rebounds. Tulsa had 24 total rebounds. That was a massive destruction. Houston is a top 6 team to me. I mean, they are definitely a real Final Four contender. Losing Mills has not bothered them at all. Very impressed with the Cougars.
Yeah, I mean, every time you get a good offense rebounding team against the zone, it can always be a bloodbath on the boards, and that was the case with the Cougars. All right, it's outline time. A lot of West Coast action, Jim. Shouts to you on this outline. Heavy Pac-12 Mountain West slate tonight. And that's where we start our slate here with the Battle of the Desert Duo. Arizona State hosting Arizona. First thing to note about this matchup, interesting schedule nuance. The Pac-12 are not doing back-to-backs. They're playing their usual schedule where they do the state or local pairs. But in this situation, these two will square off again on Monday back in Tucson. Tonight, taking place in Tempe. The Sun Devils dropped 3 in a row, Mr. McKeon, after coming out of a COVID shutdown. They've been without some bodies. However, they are getting presumably a key piece back tonight in Jalen Graham. He's been out with mono. And that's really been the bugaboo for this team all year is rebounding. So I'm hoping his presence can help plug that gap. Are you looking at the same thing tonight here with the Sun Devils?
Yeah, I wrote down, what the heck is wrong with Arizona State? I guess personnel is what you have to point to, just all the injuries. Arguably the most disappointing team this year in a sea of disappointing teams. I'm including Kentucky and Duke and everything like that. They have so much talent, guys, and they've been absolutely brutal. They've lost 4 straight, like you said. One game was to UTEP. The other game was to Oregon State. I mean, they're just not beating bad teams. Apologies to UTEP slightly. They're an okay team. But like you said, Matt, Arizona, man, they pound the glass. They pound the paint. They have a huge advantage in there tonight. Jalen Graham has to play for Arizona State to cover the spread. But, guys, the spot is just too juicy. I love the Sun Devils. It's my best bet. Arizona State +3. I'm coming out firing. Best bet for Ky. Go Devils. They can't be this bad, right? They got to turn it around at some point, Jim.
I'm on board. I'm with Ky here.
I would certainly think so. Yeah, I'm not going to add. I just don't trust Hurley enough to add it officially on the show. My number certainly leans this way. The spot does too. I'm going to be a hesitant boy here on this one. But yeah, I mean, do the Sun Devils have any backbone? They have, like you said, underwhelmed massively. But now they have this great spot at home against their rival who just lost their only/best shooter in Jamal Baker for the season. Can they stand up and have a good performance here? I think they will, but I just really don't trust Bobby Hurley. So we'll see if they actually come through.
Yeah, Jim, I actually meant to kick this one to you and open with a "Do we trust Bobby Hurley?" question. So I'm glad you circled back to that. I don't really either, but this is, I think Kai said it, hit the nail on the head. The spot's just too perfect. It's definitely a contrasting styles type of chess match here. I hope the Sun Devils have one of those games where they go 14 of 32 from three, and we all get the easy cover that we so desperately want. All right, next game here, staying in the Pac-12, USC versus Stanford / at Stanford, depending on how you want to qualify that. This game will be played in Santa Cruz. For those who have been not paying attention, Stanford has been playing their home games at the Golden State Warriors G League team. So not their true home court, but it's where they've played most of their conference games so far. They're used to the home court. So just something to note there, and if you're trying to factor in a home value. But a big question mark. A lot of rumors are swirling about major injury concerns for the Tree. They were without Spencer Jones and Bryce Wills last game after getting Dejon Davis back. There's rumors that he will be out tonight, as well as Zaire Williams. If there's any chance more than two of these dudes are out, I don't know how you touch the Cardinal. However, Jim, this line is awfully high for a USC team we just saw lose at Oregon State.
Yeah, I'm pretty concerned here. I mean, this is another, don't really trust the coach with Andy Enfield. This isn't quite USC road favorite, like you said, because this is technically a neutral game, but this number's gotten quite high. Stanford should be feisty enough to hang around here. I mean, Oregon State hung around and ended up winning. So even shorthanded, you'd think USC could compete here, but I'm not going to take anything until you see exactly who is out, who is on the court for the Cardinal, because honestly, it could be an ugly game too. These are two of the top 16 in the country in 2-point percentage defense. So going to be a battle inside, struggle to score inside the arc. What do you got on this one, Kai?
Yeah, I was hoping to bet Stanford in this game, guys. Pre-injury news. USC's 5th game in 10 days. That has to be affecting them just a little bit. Point. Like Matt said, lost to Oregon State. I mean, my God, what are you doing, guys? 2 straight teams we talked about lost to Oregon State. Maybe the Beavers aren't that bad. I agree with Jim. Scoring is hard to come by. An underlean would be the main thing for me in this game. I can't touch Stanford with all these rumors of injuries out. If they have 3 or 4 guys out, 5 points is pretty reasonable on a neutral floor in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, I basically wrote down, if you could confirm any 2 of those 4 are playing, I think it's worth taking Stanford at for a small dabble. It's certainly not worth putting your mortgage on. Kai, I think you also hit it right on the head again with the immovable object meets movable object. I think this game's ugly. I don't think either team can score on each other with the size and length, especially if Stanford's down bodies. They're going to want to slow it down. So, yeah, I think the under is probably the right side just from a qualitative perspective. All right, we're leaving Pac-12 country. We're entering Big Ten country, the heartland of hoops. No, not Indiana. We're going to Iowa. But the Hoosiers are traveling to Iowa to take on the white-hot Hawkeyes. This spread is big. That's the first thing I wrote. It's I could not believe this. It got up to 11, but Iowa's beaten their last 3 opponents, Maryland, Minnesota, and Northwestern, by 22, 15, and 23 points respectively. Jim, I know you're a big Trey Jackson-Davis stan. You were all preseason. He's been really strong the last few games, and just pretty much all year being the heartbeat of this Hoosier team. Can he lead a struggling cast of IU characters against this surging Hawkeye squad?
I hope so. I mean, I think they can score. I think Indiana can score against this Iowa defense. TJD, a really tough matchup for them. I think Keegan Murray is the only guy that really can guard him in space, and he's young and experienced. Will probably get in foul trouble if he does play. But on the other end, this kind of is like the Purdue matchup for Indiana, where there's a big guy inside that they probably can't guard one-on-one without risking possibly TJD getting into foul trouble, which they cannot have. And then you've got the motion around that with the way Iowa moves the ball, also kind of similar to Purdue, only their shooters are better, quite frankly. So I'm a little fearful for Indiana on the road, but I lean towards the over because I do think both teams can score on each other. Does that sound reasonable, Mr. McKeon?
I think it does, Jim. Massive spread, pretty deserved. I don't see Indiana stopping Iowa at all. Iowa's been fantastic, especially at Carver Hawkeye Arena. I don't have the balls to bet against Iowa at home. Certainly not going to do with an Indiana team that just hasn't looked that great the past several games. That loss against Purdue was very concerning to me, Matt. Your Hoosiers losing a rivalry game at home to Purdue in a game they absolutely needed. That's disheartening. This game is an ultimate stay away from me. Lean towards the Hawkeyes just because of the home angle and Indiana's poor play lately.
Yeah, even with Armand Franklin back last game, going 3 of 18 from behind the arc is concerning from the Hoosiers' perspective. I was going to play some zone. You got to make shots. You got to be able to keep pace with, Iowa's scoring attack. They're going to put up 80, or definitely 80, I think, is the where you probably draw the line there. So it's going to be tough, but I think the Hoosiers can keep it close. Slight lean to my alma mater, but no official play there for me. Moving along here, Rutgers at Penn State, staying in the Big Ten. Talk about a put up or shut up moment for the Scarlet Knights. Seems like we've been playing whack-a-mole with this team all season. They've had a whole week off to rest and prepare. They're catching Penn State, who's going to play their third game in 5 days. They have a major size advantage up front, Ky, against a pretty depleted Penn State front line that's going to place, in my opinion, a downy, soft type zone. Everything just seems too good to be true here for Rutgers. Am I missing anything?
The last 3 or 4 games have felt too good to be true for Rutgers. The spots have been great for them. They need to right the ship, man. We've said this several times. 4 straight losses, lost 5 out of 6. Free throw shooting a big reason why. They're shooting 55% from the line in Big Ten play. Obviously terrible, but their defense, guys, has also been putrid. They're 10th in the Big Ten per KenPom in conference defensive efficiency. Awful. Second worst defensive rebounding team in the league. I don't understand that at all. Definitely not the Pike Hill team we're used to. Penn State 0-5 in Big Ten play. You could argue they're kind of up for this game at home. Ironically, they actually rank higher now than they did 5 games ago, despite losing 5 straight. But Rutgers is a lean for me here in this one. I love them at -1. I loved them as a dog. I believe they started off as a dog, but now they're up to -1.5, -2. I won't take that officially, but it's still lean to me for me towards the Knights, Jim.
Yeah, I have to like Rutgers here. I don't really have a lot of love for Penn State, but when this got past -1, you become really reliant on free throw shooting for Rutgers late in the game, and I'm just not ready to get on board with that at 1.5. There's clearly some open space for like a backdoor for Penn State. You're never comfortable late in the game, even if Rutgers is winning. So not going to lock it in officially just because of that. And honestly, I've been kind of surprised at how Rutgers has not been that good on the glass. I thought this team should be dominating the paint. They're huge at basically every position, and yet they're not even in the top 100 in either side of the ball in rebound rate, which, I mean, against Penn State, they should be dominating the glass. This is a kind of small team lacking big men, but maybe it's not as big of an advantage as I thought it should have been, just looking at the numbers. So I'm staying away, unfortunately, boys.
Jim, stop. Quit talking me out of my Rutgers play here. I'm going to endorse it still. I believe I wrote down 2 as where I drew my line in the sand. Can I get 1, or is that pretty much toast at this point?
I think it's 1.5.
Sorry, man. Sorry, buddy.
All right, let me update my spreadsheet here. 1.5. Okay, 1.5 it is. I still think 2 is a good play here for all the reasons Jim did not mention. So be very worried there. All right, chat mob time. A lot of chatter early here. Do we have any inquiries on the slate that we have not discussed? Czar step up. Did not even Jim. Look at Jim.
It's Thursday. I mean, we got a lot of West Coast stuff. There's a lot of Mountain West, a lot of Big Sky, a lot of
Big Sky too. Yep.
West Coast. So we got a lot of series of questions coming here. Mac Dooley asked about a bunch, so we'll try to hit as many of those as we can, and everybody else can let us know what else we should hit. We'll start with Eastern Washington at Northern Colorado in the Big Sky. EWash coming off that split against Southern Utah at home. I don't really have a strong lean here, fellas. I made this number about what it is. Northern Colorado's been better lately, but they are down a starter, so that's something to keep an eye on with Sam Maston. Probably a slight Eastern Washington lean, but again, I don't have much. Either of you have something?
Yeah, I didn't like my number here, Jim. I think I had it 2 points lower than what it opened. So giving a lot of respect to Northern Colorado, just a very extreme matchup clash here. Northern Colorado, no one takes away the 3-ball better than the Bears. Under their Jeff Linder tree, Steve Smiley. If there's one thing EWash does, they can stroke it from distance. All 5 guys can always shoot it. These 2 games were pretty competitive last year, but it's just kind of a stay away. It just feels a little too unpredictable for me. I don't really trust my number, Ky.
I lean EWash. Northern Colorado, they've been better in conference play, but I don't think they're to EWash's level this year.
Okay, we've also got Portland headed to BYU. This is one that you have to know the status of Ahmed Ali, Portland's point guard. He is like their do-everything scorer, creator. They couldn't really hang with Pepperdine without him. I don't really know how they score against BYU's length. BYU's defense has really stood up lately. The road trip to San Francisco and St. Mary's was super impressive from the Cougars. I probably would lean BYU here, especially if Ali is out, but you got to check on his status.
Yeah, I think it's a layup line for BYU. So it's BYU or nothing for me. The line's a little high, and if Ali's in there, I'd probably stay away.
UCLA at Cal in the Pac-12, guys. One that is not on our on our outline here. Matt Bradley likely out for Cal again. Actually, I think he's officially out. UCLA has been kind of a fireball lately, though, in conference, even after losing Chris Smith. Ky, anything here in the Pac-12?
Big stay away. UCLA kind of cracked in their last game. We thought they might finally without Chris Smith, and Cal finally got a win somehow against a Utah team that.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't understand that game at all. So 9 points, too much for me to do either way. I don't necessarily trust Cal without Matt Bradley, and I don't trust UCLA with that many points on the road.
Yeah, nothing here. I guess Cal's starting to maybe play a little more feisty, learn how to find some offense by committee without Bradley, but I still don't trust the other guys there. It's very feast or famine, so no play here for me.
San Francisco at Santa Clara. Battle in the Bay Area here. I personally like the Dons on the road. The only thing that's kind of stopping me from adding it is that second half against BYU. They struggled with length. They couldn't get anything on the board, scoring-wise, anything going. Santa Clara has similar length, so I'm not going to lock it in officially as a show play just because of that fear. Ky, you agree?
I got nothing in this game, Jim. I agree. I'm kind of worried about Santa Clara's length bothering San Francisco. Hey, they could shoot 23s, though, or make 23s. They're going to shoot 50.
I'd be on the under, but every time I bet Santa Clara unders, them or their opponent make shots at a annoyingly high rate. So I'm too scared and too shook from my past endeavors there. So I will stay away.
Okay, Nick Laloya asked about Jacksonville State at Murray State, battle in the Ohio Valley. Murray finally got on track last game, had a big blowout victory on the road. Jacksonville State ended up losing to Belmont. I made this number like right about what it is.
Yep.
I maybe a slight lean to Murray, but I think Jacksonville State's better as a dog, as I said on the show. So.
Yeah, no question, Jim. I got Mr. Brandon Huffman, the former UNC transfer. I think he can be a game changer against Murray State's front line, which has shown some cracks. It's a hard stay away for me.
Okay. We were asked for a Maction whip around. Just try to hit as many games there as we can. So Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, the early tip today. I guess my number leaned a little towards Eastern Michigan, but that team is toxic right now. It's hard to even endorse possibly a small play on them.
Yeah, it could be a sleepy spot for Buffalo, Jim, off the miracle comeback. I don't know. I just would be a little hesitant there.
Yeah, they did fall short, so maybe they're angry after that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, fair.
And then Bowling Green at Miami of Ohio, also kind of an earlier tip. Ky, I think this is something you were eyeing up previously, before the board moved at least.
Yeah, before the board moved, Bowling Green was a play for me. -4.5. I still might take something small on them. It's probably -5 now, to be honest. But yeah, Bowling Green. Someone mentioned in the chat they've been up and down. So true. They're Jekyll and Hyde to the max. I'm still not a huge believer in Miami of Ohio, and I think Bowling Green still has potential to be a top 3 MAC team.
Yeah.
Central Michigan at Akron. Guys, you've been back in Akron lately. Now they are a big favorite at home. Is that a spot that you like them in, or do you prefer them more as the feisty dog?
Yeah, feisty dog. This spread's a little too big. Central Michigan's got some athletes, some slashers who can get to the rim. I can see Akron being a little sleepy, and with their defensive coverage, they can give up some drives. I don't want to touch this game. Yep,
agreed. Okay, I think that's about it. Oh, let's get a Dom question in here before we defer everything else to the rest of the chat portion. He really wants to know for some reason about San Jose State taking on New Mexico. Neutral site game at Dixie State because New Mexico can't host. I mean, these teams are putrid. I don't really know how you trust either one in this stage. So I got nothing. Maybe towards the over, just like a neutral site, both teams playing. But New Mexico can't score. They can't shoot from anywhere in the court. So I don't know. Tough to recommend the over.
It's kind of like Georgetown DePaul. It's like don't bet on either team. So when they play each other, why would you feel confident in either side? That's kind of how I feel about this matchup. I don't feel confident in either team. So I'm going to sit back and try and find out just how bad each one is when they're pinned against each other, I guess. So it's a learning game for me, not a betting game.
Hey, someone has to win. That's exciting.
Nick called this a sadist basketball game. And
that's phenomenal. That's exactly
only masochists watch this game.
Yep. All right, Matt, back to the outline here.
All right, and we're going back to the West Coast, Jimbo. Colorado State at Utah State. The Spectrum Magic has been alive and kicking. Cannot understate how awesome the Aggies have been under Craig Smith. No Sam Merrill this year, no problem. They have 2 freshman guards who are playing lights out. Talked about how they retooled the offense to play inside out through Neemias Queta. They are 9-0 in conference outright and against the spread. Their conference has been the schedule is very backloaded. They'll play a lot stiffer competition coming up. This is really their first test, and they answered the call of duty with flying colors. They passed. I mean, Colorado State, they were up 14-15 within no time. I think there's value on the dog here, Ky, in the second leg of the back-to-back. But at some point, I think we just have to respect what Utah State's done.
I respect the crap out of Utah State. Yeah, like you said, 9 straight games in the Mountain West, 10 overall. They've been a wrecking ball since the beginning of the year. Colorado State's good. I promise they're good, but they've just been shellacked by the big boys of the league. And I'm including that game against the Aztecs in which they had that furious comeback. They got down 1 million in the first half and had some fortunate shooting luck to pull that win off. The first game in this matchup was a bloodbath on the boards. Utah State grabbed nearly 40% of its misses, also shot 53% from deep. So Colorado State really had no prayer in that game. I think they're still in trouble in this one, but the number is being where it's at, around 8 points, has me leaning towards Colorado State in a very, very scared type of lean, Jim.
Yeah, they should have less home court. I think the thing you mentioned about shooting is really the highlight to me. If Colorado State gets outshot like they did, as badly as they did in the first game, then they have no chance. I mean, they were 9 for 27 from deep, whereas Utah State was 10 for 19. And Colorado State should be the better shooting team, but so if the numbers are split like that, they're not going to get it done. I'm going to be a little scared boy too, and not take Colorado State here, although I do lean that way. I haven't seen them really play a good first half against a good team yet. Like they've just struggled. So without any sort of guarantee that they actually come out of the gate strong, then it's stay away.
Yeah, I liked it at the opener at 9. I don't like it really at 8. So I know that's obviously 1 point and not a key number range, but still, I just respect Utah State too much. So I can't go against there and bend on my strike price. All right, we're staying on the West Coast. Before we talk about Utah-Washington State, we do need to acknowledge the apocalypse of college basketball last night as being talked about in the chat mob. Colorado losing to Washington. It's just a vintage example of Pac-12. Who the F knows what's going to happen on any given night. I don't really have anything else to say about it other than this is what's going to happen in the Pac-12. So
I'd like to
random
note
results.
That Colorado was 1 for 18, 5% from deep, and Washington was 12 of 25. That matters.
All right,
and it was still a very close game.
It was very close, right? Just normalize that, and it's probably closer to the spread. So
zero adjustments, Jim.
Yeah.
Okay. Washington is still bad. Nothing has changed.
Yes.
Speaking of, let's talk about their in-state brethren, a much better team, a coach we respect to the highest regard, Kyle Smith and Gatorade. They are hosting Utah up there in Eastern Washington. We've seen some early money actually go against where I believe the Weave as a consensus stands on this game. I believe Utah took some early steam, but I guess not surprising. We've seen Washington State be a little shaky. They hung around with USC, but we saw them crack a couple times the last few weeks. They're still not fully healthy, although healthier. Kyle, I'll go to you for this one. Do you think Kyle Smith and the boys get it done as a short favorite or a short dog here?
I'd like to point out that I'm not with you guys in this game.
Oh, you're the lone sheep. Okay, I'm sorry.
I made the spread Utah -2, so I'm right where it's at. However, I do lean towards Wazoo. I respect your guys' opinions here. Wazoo's lost 3 straight, covered 2 of them. This is their first home game in Pullman, Matt, since January 2nd. It's been a long time since the boys have been home. Utah is 0-3 on the road. Did almost beat UCLA, though, on the road. Also, we talked about it, coming off that weird loss to a Matt Bradley-less Cal at home. Made no sense. I am leaning Wazoo. Their defense has been very, very solid, but their offense, Jim, putrid. Currently the worst offense in the Pac-12 in conference play.
Yeah, there's a chance they struggle to score, but this is my best bet. I'm taking Wazoo +2 here. I think they can get it done at home. Utah, a young team that has definitely struggled on the road. Even that, I think I had a best bet on this show on Utah when they were on the road at UCLA, and that one felt very smoke and mirrors-y that they covered. I was bracing for a bad end result basically the whole game. Here now, Wazoo back home, like you said, 4 straight road Pac-12 games, a little bit of a comfort, get-right spot. I think we can trust Wazoo here. I will take them +2 on the road, or excuse me, at home. Matt, are you going to make it an official play with me?
Yes, sir. +2. I'm in all the way.
There you go.
Lock and load. Yeah, nothing really farther than that. You guys hit it on the head. I just think Washington State's going to be good, and they will trend up as they're still down 2 fringe starters, but plenty of depth. They've been without those guys. They're going to be just fine. Last game here on the outline, back to Central to Middle America we go. Memphis will be hosting Wichita State. The Shockers travel to Pennyland in the FedEx Forum. Actually, I think that's where they're playing their games this year. The Tigers, guys, have not been good. Been in our doghouse. They're 2-2 in conference. I'd argue they were lucky to win against South Florida without Alexis Yetna. Their 2 losses were against Tulsa. I don't know what to make of this Memphis team. They've struggled. The talent's there. We've seen them play to a high level in certain small doses this season. Part of me wants to take the Shockers, but my line disagrees. I'm all over the place in this game, Ky. Straighten me out here, please.
By the way, Chat Mob, I think, is going to give you 2.5 for Washington State. So gobble that up, guys, if you can.
I will. I'll take it. Give me the
Yeah, Matt, I agree. Memphis hasn't been good. Best wins on a neutral against St. Mary's. After that, it's South Florida at home. Tulsa swept them. They're 2-2 in the AAC. Wichita is a team that I am sorry that I gave up on so early. Apologies to head coach Brown up there. He is awesome. He's been very, very good with this program since Greg Marshall left. They're 4-1 in conference play, 6-1 in the last 7 games. Altuve Gilbert handling the rock is the key in this game. He's as steady as they come running the point. Shouldn't be that deterred by Memphis's length, pressure. Wichita is going to lift the line. I do kind of lean Memphis on a matchup perspective just because of the huge glass advantage, and Wichita can't really take advantage of their awful ball handling. The Shockers don't force a lot of turnovers, but I like Wichita way better as a team. I'm leaning towards them at plus 2.5.
Yeah, I like it in the matchup sense, I lean towards Wichita. I want to take them, but those matchup things scare me. You have to defensive rebound and hopefully pressure against Memphis. That takes advantage of their biggest weakness, negates their biggest strength. And Wichita does neither of those things, which is kind of a problem. However, Shockers should live at the free throw line offensively. Memphis is so undisciplined. They foul like crazy. They will just randomly reach after a missed shot because they're not well coached. They're not disciplined enough to go back on defense instead of just hacking. So I lean towards Wichita, but the matchup scares me away from actually locking it in.
Yeah, I was just going to chime in there. Ky, 5-0 against the spread. Wichita is in conference, so they are certainly trending in the right direction. Got off to a slow start because they had some guys out due to COVID, but they're all back intact. Worth noting that Memphis has been without Damian Bowe last game, but his importance seems to have dwindled. Seems like DeAndre Williams is taking his spot in the rotation, so maybe not as impactful as we would have thought a month ago. But just 2 things to be aware of there.
We were told last preseason that he was going to be an All-American as a freshman.
Penny, every podcast,
Penny I love Memphis fans, man. Memphis fans are the most passionate preseason. My team is number 1 in the country.
Yeah, though not a few spots away last year and this year, so they might need to rethink their expectations. All right, best bets. Let's rehash them. Ky?
Yep, I got Arizona State plus 3. I can't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to implore you guys to take it and say it's a lock by any means. I just think the spot sets up really well for the Sun Devils. Jalen Graham hopefully returning to the lineup. That's going to be the biggest key for them tonight. Jim?
I am on Wazoo plus 2.5. That is my best bet for the evening. Pac-12 home team. I think they'll do all right against Utah, who I'm not convinced is going to be very good on the road this year as a young team that struggles to score. What about you, Matt? I don't think we've hit your best bet game yet.
So I need to make sure that I've really stretched my boundary here. If I can get Weaver at -2, that's my best bet. If it's 2.5 painted across the board, then I'll have to zigzag here last second. But I'll hold for confirmation. Please hold.
It seems pretty mostly -2.5.
Come on, people.
We'll see what the chat mob has to say, but
okay, I'm gonna zigzag here. Yeah, I can't take 2.5. I made the game 2.5, so it just doesn't completely against my handicap there. I do lean Weaver pretty hard, though. I think it's a good spot for them. You know what? I'm gonna go on the extra board for my best bet. Is that cheating, or can I do that?
Go ahead.
We should be doing that more. Ky and I are much better on the extra board.
Yeah, I've actually been worse at the extras this year, but I'll try and capture some of your guys' magic here. St. Francis, the Red Flash, heading on the road is where I like my monies tonight. They're taking on Sacred Heart. Finally got back their stud point guard, Ramir Conover-Dixon. He's been back for a few games now. I think they're sort of a buy low. They're starting to trend up. I just think this spread's a little bit inflated. I don't get why Sacred Heart's favored. They're kind of riding a big blowout win over LIU that's propping up their analytic rankings. I just think St. Francis is the better team. So home court shouldn't be a lot, although it's a longer travel than most NEC schools, coming from Laredo, Pennsylvania to the East Coast there. But I like the Red Flash, so that's where I stand for my best bet. Extra board it is.
I'm joining you, Matt. St. Francis, Pennsylvania. I'm a Red Flash boy with you today.
What are you guys seeing? I'm seeing a lot of different spreads for this game. Anywhere from +1.5 all the way to Francis is a favorite. What do you got, Jim?
Sacred Heart -1 is, I think, the predominant one I'm seeing. So
+1.
SFPA +1.
Take it. Yes, sir.
I'll hop on SFPA +1. Go Flash.
Consensus.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, let's get to chat mob here, guys. Alec Crucial was asking about Pacific +3.5. He says it feels obvious. What's he missing? Ooh. I think our numbers all lean Pepperdine, but gosh, trusting Romar as a favorite, a little bit scary. Matt, what do you have on this one?
Yeah, I actually really like Pepperdine up to 3.5 starts to get to that. I don't really like as much. I'm curious why he likes Pacific so much. They were very impressive against Santa Clara, but Damon Stoudemire after that game said, "This is the best game we've played since I've been here." So I think this is a very good Pacific team. They play as a unit. A lot of different guys come at you in waves. No pun intended, playing against the Waves. I just think Pepperdine's a class above, cut above talent-wise. So I like the Waves here at home.
Yeah, physicality worries me. Pacific is one of the most physical teams in the conference, maybe the most physical team. And Pepperdine, I don't think you can say the same thing about them. That worries me. I love Pepperdine at -2, 3.5. I'm staying away.
Okay. A couple other questions in the Ohio Valley. Andrew Vogt and J-Man Johnson both asking about EIU at Belmont.
Yeah,
guys, if Belmont's still 13, I'm going to take it as a show play here. I think there's a pretty good chance that Josiah Wallace for EIU is not playing in this one. It's down to 12. Yep, I'm going to add Belmont -12.
Maybe he's
even if he does play, though, I still like Belmont. I think they can just score repeatedly inside. But without him, EIU's been tough. They've struggled. So I will go with the Bruins there. Anything for either of you?
No, I just want to add.
For me, Jim.
I'll add another bullet point to Jim's argument there. Belmont 7-1 ATS in conference. Every year they do this. They just are 2 notches above the rest of the OVC counterparts. They usually go on these hot runs. So if you think the iron is still hot, then strike now.
Okay, and the other one, Job Gunderson asked about also Eastern Kentucky and UT Martin. UT Martin potentially missing their point guard, Eden Holt. He was out last game. Impossible to find status on him. Unfortunately, Martin doesn't have the most robust reporting, but that's a problem against EKU pressure. They want to run, they want to press, get steals. So if he's out, that is an issue. Would lean towards EKU. Ky?
Yeah, if Eden Holt is out for Tennessee Martin, drop a cement block on the gas pedal, take Eastern Kentucky.
Wow.
Yeah, a cement block, guys. Two cement blocks, if you can find them.
All right, let's see what else we got going here. Chattanooga.
St. Mary's Loyola Marymount, right?
Yep.
Yep.
That might be the last one, but we'll hit that. I lean towards St. Mary's on a number. I just don't think the Gales can be this bad in conference play, but Loyola Marymount, kind of similar matchup to BYU, similar to Santa Clara, both of whom won at St. Mary's with a ton of perimeter length that can bother them in their offensive pick and roll system. So I think Randy Bennett gets it done, but the matchup concerns are real.
Yeah, I'm with Jim. I think the matchup kryptonite is why I'm not taking it, but I think it's a good spot, and I trust Randy Bennett, even without Alec Dukas, who's arguably their second best player. So the Gales are also a little bit shorthanded tonight, presumably, Ky.
Yeah, I lean St. Mary's the number, but without Dukas, they've been pretty bad. So I wouldn't recommend it. I lean their way, but official no play for the show.
All right, I think that wraps it up. I don't know if I'm missing. We covered BYU Portland earlier, so feel free to head back and check that. Wazoo is Washington State. Sorry, clarify that.
Go Cougs.
Yep. But Matthew, I think you can close it out now.
Yeah, folks, again, remember to use SPRodds.com for all your line shopping needs, the ultimate aggregator of all the books out there. Line value is king. We will continue to regurgitate that. SPRpicks.com/NCAAB. Boom, it's right there. Check it out. I'll say it again. We'll say it tomorrow. When we'll be back at our normally scheduled time. Hope to see you then.
Wait, Matt, don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, baby.
Oh, hit that like button. Too. I thought it's all in one fell swoop. You're right. Go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and participate in the chat mob. If you're watching and not chiming in, well, shame on you. You're only doing half the battle. So we want full participation. We will challenge you and see you tomorrow.